Welcome back into Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery on Locked On Sports Atlanta. We ask you to head over to youtube.com, subscribe to our YouTube page. We are closing in on 1,000 subscribers, so we thank you so much for being part of our ever-growing community there. And I want you to follow me on my personal Twitter page. That would be at JMCH316. So, as I like to say, in the wrestling world and the wrestling podcast world, we use the term rumor and innuendo. So a lot of that going around. There's a lot of speculation that in Utah that they're going to have to break up Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, that things have sort of plateaued and peaked, and those guys may not necessarily get along with one another. Now, you can separate fact from fiction and figure all those kinds of things out. I'm not in Utah, don't know, don't care. I know what I read, though. There are rumors that the Hawks could be one of the teams that if Donovan Mitchell was to leave, there's some scuttlebutt that Donovan Mitchell would very much look at the Heat or the Hawks as a definite trade partner. Now, we're also hearing some things coming out of Utah that maybe they very much like DeAndre Hunter. So I propose this to you. If there is a chance, so you're saying there's a chance, if there's a chance to get Donovan Mitchell, it's a no-brainer to try to make that deal happen. And if that means you have to give up Bogey or Capella or Collins or Hunter, your first one or both of your first round picks or what have you, you do it. Now, the negatives about Donovan Mitchell, okay? One is we're talking about a guy that's about 6'1" or so. So you're going to partner him up with another guy in Trae Young who's whatever he is, whatever size he is. A couple of guys who are going to be not much more above 6 foot, So you're going to have a couple of guys that are pretty small in your backcourt. 2, I understand defensively, okay? I understand he is not a good defender. In fact, his defensive rating is probably at or just slightly below even what Trae Young's numbers are. And 3 is just the fact that he's been part of an organization that has some star power to it, but they haven't been able to get over the hump. Okay, I've got all of that. Now, the good stuff. Here's the positives. You're talking about a kid that's been in the league for 5 years, and he's been an all-star for 3 of those and a first-team rookie in his rookie year. His career average is 24 points, 4.5 assists. Now, the last 2 years, he's averaged basically 26 points in 5 assists. We go back to why the Hawks did not do well against Miami and what their struggle has been many times. Are they a good defensive team? Nope, not at all. Understand all of that. But what they don't have is a guy night in, night out to complement offensively Trae Young. Look, when they get it rolling, the Hawks, when they get Gallo and Bogey and Herter and beep, bop, boop, bop, bop, and they get it all going, they're one of the best offensive teams in the league. They're one of the most efficient offensive teams in the league. But when you get into the playoffs, you know what's not in the NBA playoffs? Orlando on a Tuesday, the Detroit Pistons on a Thursday, the Sacramento Queens on a Saturday. You don't have those teams anymore. You don't get to load up on all the vagabonds and the metagons of the world. You're playing the best of the best of the best of the best. And you saw in that Miami series, when Trae Young can't get it going, their offense just shut down. And you have to roll the dice, and you hope maybe Herter shoots it well, or you hope Hunter. Hunter had a great final game against Miami. Cool. That was one game in the playoffs that he played really well. Bogey had a really good game in their victory in the playoffs against Miami. Cool. What about the other 4 times when he was MIA for it? Mitchell is an elite scorer. He's a terrific three-point shooter. He's a big-time scorer. And if you put those guys in the backcourt, well, but we're going to need defensive help. All right, go get some defenders then. Round out your roster with some defenders. I'm talking about a 3-time All-Star who's one of the elite scorers in the NBA for a franchise that's been pretty good. Can't get over the hump. but they've been pretty good. Maybe if I bring him over to the East and I put him with some other stars, maybe we, find some magic in a bottle. But Donovan Mitchell, if you can get him, is a no-brainer. A no-brainer. Yeah, maybe doesn't have the size. Yeah, doesn't play defense. You know what? And I hate to say it this way, people don't like to hear this. I'll figure all that out because this is reality. And I want to make sure we put this out there in the universe crystal clear to everybody. Okay. You're not going to find great two-way players now. There's not a whole bunch of great two-way players. Well, what about this guy? What about, okay, they have, again, it's a matter of who's available, who wants to sign, who's your dance partner. Well, what about Zach LaVine? Okay. Why would the Bulls give up Zach LaVine? They have bird rights on him. They can give him more money than anybody. Why would they let go an elite scorer in the league when they've just turned the corner and their franchise is getting better? Why would they let that guy go? Well, what about the kid down in San Antonio? Okay, why would San Antonio get rid of their best player? You're trying to build something and build around a guy. So you're going to build around, you're trying to build your team back up, and you're going to take your best player, Murray, and ship him out? That makes no sense. Makes no sense. What about John Wall? Why would I want an aging point guard who, let's say if you trade for him, he's 48 million on the cap. Now, Mitchell is signed for a whole bunch of years. He's going to run you low, mid-30s for the next handful of years. In his final year, like in 2025, he's got a player option. So he's under contract, so he's not going anywhere. That's the other good thing about Donovan Mitchell. But you have to, again, we talked about this with the Kyrie Irving thing. I don't want Ben Simmons. I don't want Zion. I really don't want Rudy Gobert either. I don't want Karl Anthony Towns either. You have to look at who might be available, and you have to take some of the fleas with the dog. Yeah, it would be great. Let's go find a shooting guard who's offense and defense. There was one of those guys. His name was Michael Jordan. You know what? He ain't in the league anymore. I can look. Let me look around. See if Michael's anywhere around here. Nope, don't see him anywhere. He's not around anymore. There aren't a whole bunch of those great two-way players that change the formation of the game and, make your team instantly top. LeBron ain't coming here. Giannis isn't coming here. Okay? There aren't all of those guys available. So you have to be realistic about scenarios that are available. And if you have the chance to get an elite player score like Donovan Mitchell, you take him. And I'll figure it out. Same thing with Kyrie. Take him and figure it out. Well, they don't play defense. Okay. Well, who are you going to find that's going to score 26 a night for you? Okay. How many of those guys are? So I bring in an elite defensive player, and he's 12 points a night. What does that do for my offense come playoff time? When I'm back to, well, Trey's trapped in the corner. I wonder who's going to score. Bogey for 3. Oh, boy. Gallinari for, oh, boy. Herder for 3. Oh, boy. They need another offensive piece, not just about regular season. Yes, they have to, regular season, you have to focus. Okay? That's the big thing. For the flaws and warts and everything like that, it's a matter of staying healthy and focusing. Now, I will say, it's another thing about Donovan Mitchell is if you start looking at his games played, he missed 15 games this year, only played 53 in the shortened schedule last year. So you bring him over and you got a mid-30s, number to him. You're paying him $35 million. Need him to stay healthy. Need him to be a 77-player guy. Same thing with Collins and things like that. So injuries certainly have hurt this team. But, brother, there ain't a whole bunch of 26 a night guys running around in the league. There aren't a whole bunch of those guys that you can find right now that go out and just get buckets and buckets and buckets and buckets, especially for a team that needs help scoring in the playoffs. It's a no-brainer in my mind if you can get them. All right, when we come back, I'm going to make a simple lineup change, and I'm going to help you fix some things about this Braves team because it is frustrating and maddening right now. It's Jon Chuckery here on Hittin' Hard on Locked On Sports Atlanta.